It's the Wild and Woolly Muscle Cat Studios today. The hail is thundering down outside, but we're warm, we're cozy, and we are ready to talk some NFL football. Doss is repping the retro Green Bay shirt tonight. Hawley's got a hat on, although it's raining and we're inside. And I, boys, have had I've got my suitcase ready to go. My briefcase is ready to go for another edition, so it's all happening. I also interviewed a very special guest on the show this morning, Doss, which we'll put in it's already on YouTube, and we'll tease it in this audio version. Seth Wickersham, the ESPN senior writer, had a great chat with him, and you just watched that on the way in. Oh, not on the way in.
No, I didn't watch it on the I didn't watch it on the drive in.
You know what I mean.
Listen to it, Curt, through the power of
technology.
Apple CarPlay.
Yep.
It was very good. Loved it. Good chat. Some interesting conversation around Caleb Williams, which came out last week.
Yep.
Andrew Luck, and then the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick Patriots dynamic and era, which he's also written a book on.
Yes, he has.
So,
two great books, Seth.
Yeah.
One of them I tried to read in preparation for the interview. Didn't realize it wasn't out till September, so did my best, but it was a great chat. Boys, we have a big event next week. I mean, a big show, of course, now, but this is our penultimate show for the season before we go on break. For those who are newish to the show, don't worry. Even when we're on break, you'll get an episode every single week. On the YouTube, we'll have it, and also audio as well. Spotify and Apple will have our mini pods that are pre-recorded. But next week is our season finale. And that is, of course, Hawley.
The dinner party.
The dinner party. Now, I think this is our fourth, I'll have to check it, I think it's fourth annual Outback Quarterback
We
dinner
got some
party.
good ones to bring this year, Doss.
I don't know how you could top last year's guest list.
I reckon I could. I've been thinking about it.
Hawley tends to go the controversial route. I think of who I would actually like in Muscle Cat Studios, and Doss.
Oh, I'd still like those people to come to dinner.
There's always more editing on that episode because we delve into murky territory, but it's great. So the premise is pretty simple. We invite the people that we want to see at dinner. It's a very crowded table. There'll be what? I mean, we normally bring 6 or 7 each, so there's about 25 of us.
It's a big list.
It's a big list. We'll this year each be bringing something to drink and something to eat as well. So get prepped for that.
That's par for the course.
Yeah,
We
but I
normally
actually
do
want
that.
you to bring it this time.
Actually physically bring it.
yeah.
Right.
Previously, I mean, in the first
Okay.
one, famously, you pretended to bring a 6-pack of guava cruisers, I think it was.
Yes.
Or a 4-pack. But yeah, this year I want the physical goods in the
Right.
studio.
So you're going to have to bring a carton, a case of cruisers now.
Muscle Cat Media must be really hurting if we have to bring our own dinner
Be
for Curt and the family now.
Yeah, can you please bring chicken
Just
pasta and
enough,
Doss?
enough for 4
Can
more
you-
people.
Can you bring a couple of bottles of fizzy water? Thanks?
Okay, just some bottles of S. Pellegrino.
And maybe
for
some
you.
formula for the new baby as well.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, big show coming up. I'll be wearing my tuxedo. So
Right.
you guys dress in your finery, whatever you would like to wear to the dinner party. So that's next week. Can I
wear a hat, Doss? Is that okay for next week?
Well, you're hiding your fresh haircut. I don't know why you're wearing a hat.
No, I like hats.
You got mullet going on? Or
No, not really.
fade?
I did ask for a bit of I said short around on the sides, keep it long on top, bit of like a low key mullet. He just kept cutting,
Yeah,
and
they
cutting
do that.
and cutting.
They do that, don't they?
And then I looked and I was like, it's just a tidy haircut.
Have you ever walked out really happy with a haircut ever?
Yes, a couple times.
Have you?
Yeah, it's a good feeling. It's
Yeah.
a real good feeling.
Yeah.
One day I hope to experience that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite happy with mine on the weekend. Thanks for noticing.
Well, yours has always been pretty similar. When you stop getting the perm, it's been
Yeah.
quite a consistent haircut.
Have
Yeah,
been.
yours
Can
just
really,
goes to like low-level fuzz, then back to business.
Yeah, you can-
Low-level fuzz, back to business.
can really set your watch to mine normally.
That's right. Well, Womack, our good friend, I don't think he's had a hair out of place for the last 18 years. His haircut is exactly the same. He gets a haircut every 2 weeks.
2 weeks, yeah.
Every 2 weeks he gets a haircut.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
It's
And
not
you,
like- it's
you
not like
cannot
grass.
tell at any point.
No,
Well,
when
his is like
when
grass.
you mow your lawn in summer, you got to mow it a lot more. Winter, you don't have to mow it as much.
Mm.
But hair just grows consistently all year round.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But he looks after it better than most people look after their lawns.
Yeah, clearly.
Now, I mentioned it in the intro. The weather has been crazy today. Only 2 weeks ago, we were a scathing review of the conditions in here when it was hot and the air conditioner wasn't working. It was just hailing, right? So I've got to go check the car for damage. You boys can do that as well. But it has been wild and woolly here today. We just had the lights flicker before the episode started, so I don't know if we're going to make it through, Dom.
I'm worried about the infrastructure of the studio and how this was set up, but
It was a
it's all
solid
right.
build. It was a
Okay.
solid build. Yeah.
Thoughts on getting back down to our cars after the episode, Doss?
that's going to be interesting.
That is actually,
I might
for the
just-
first time, I know you've joked about it 58 times in the podcast. Today, it is actually a concern. So please Don't sue me. Please
There are
walk carefully.
hailstone ball bearings out there when we're trying to get down your 25-degree driveway. We're in trouble.
It's actually safer to
ball
scoot down on your
bearings.
ass. Can you
Yeah.
just do that, please? That might be better. All right. We've got a little bit to go through. But, boys, last week I debuted the briefcase, and the briefcase is back. So would you like to see what's in my briefcase this week, Dos?
Sure.
All right. Let's have a look. Because I'm a businessman, aren't I?
Oh, every
And I-
sense of the word you are, mate.
That sounded like an insult. All right. I figured out how to open it this week.
Oh,
so
you got
that's-
it the right way
That's
around.
step one. Yep.
This is the first time it's been open since last week.
That's right. So you asked Dos why I had the Xbox 360 in here. I
did.
I've dug it out of storage. I forgot that I had it until last week, and I've been talking to Hawley about it. I was very excited because I realized, well, the game NFL Head Coach 09, which I've always wanted to play and have never played, that's compatible on Xbox 360. So why don't I just pick up a copy on eBay? And there was one in Australia, just one, because it's an American game. So I got it this week, right? Very excited to play.
Fittingly, Tony Dungy on the front.
Oh, and you got your Colts.
Colts.
Yeah, very good. So I was pumped to play it. I was thinking I can do some YouTube content around this. It'd be good for the show. Finally arrived today. Got excited, put it in, and it was not region compatible. The game was locked. It's the US version.
NES version.
This
No,
is
NEC. What was it?
NTSC.
Oh, NTSC.
Yeah, and of
That's
course
what
ours
was
is
the code.
PAL. So this is useless to me. Absolutely useless. And there's not a version in the world that can play on an Australian Xbox. So I've wasted $70 on that, Dos.
Or you could resell it.
Well, yeah, to what sucker? Nobody listening to the show is going to buy it because they know it won't work.
Unless they have an Xbox 360, which is
Yeah.
not region locked.
Or I find someone as stupid as me, Chris.
Or that.
Yeah.
Someone I'd find might have bought one from the States that have
Maybe.
to play certain games.
I think it's got a pretty slim market, though, to be honest.
Oh.
A 16-year-old game of NFL coaching, but whatever. There are a few other things. DOS, of course, we've got Bride or
Yes.
Bleak from Sports Card World.
Here we
We've got our
go.
mega pack today. I think we'll just go through 10, but if we're excited, we might go through
Who's opening that
20.
today?
Hawley, Hawley's opening it. No,
What?
he earned the rights last week with his performance.
Yeah, but he's got a heavy segment show, so I
Well-
thought I would open it this week.
Oh, it's not all about you, is it?
It's not, yeah,
No.
just give it a Hawley.
Sometimes it's about me.
We've also got the
Oh, beard oil.
beard oil and the shampoos from Jericho. But DOS, this is something to make you happy.
What have we got?
We've got a delivery from our sponsors, Jericho Australia.
Oh,
15% off, jerichoaustralia.com.
Cologne?
Let me just, it's the colognes. They're brand new products, boys, the colognes. Now, let me unbox it. This is YouTube content for Gen Z unboxing. On
three
live
of
on
them,
air.
or
Yeah, there's three of them.
Woo!
It's just little
We're
samples.
on.
Don't get overly excited,
Oh.
but it comes like that. Looks cool.
it looks a cool box.
Very cool box.
It's a
wow.
nice little
Look at
travel
Yeah. So
little travel box.
I'll just open this up for you, boys. And I've got a question to ask you, Hawley. Would you say, if you were describing your most common sin, would you say it's lust, greed, or sloth? Are you more lustful,
can I-
greedy, or lazy? Go. Say it, Dos.
Sloth.
Sloth. I'll
All
take
right.
the sloth.
All
Sure.
right.
There is
Sloth.
no one I know more than Hawley that loves an afternoon nap.
Oh, I'm
Okay,
not,
fair
can't
enough.
argue with that.
There you go. Look at that. How cool is that? You hold that up to the camera. You got the sloth scent. Do you want to try that? Why don't we sample it live on air? And Dos, are you greedy or lustful? I mean, you always talk about Sabrina Carpenter, so I might give you the
Oh,
lust.
lustful.
I like it.
Is it good?
Yeah.
I mean, this is just a shameless ad now, but who cares? We get
Smells
free
like
stuff.
smells like Saturday night.
What have you got there, Dos?
Lust.
You got lust, and I've got
Dust
greed.
would be lust.
Show that properly in the camera there.
I mean, not,
Greed.
as a Christian, I do feel a little conflicted promoting sinful titles on our colognes, but let's just park that for the sake of the
Oh.
segment.
Happy with it?
Oh, it smells good.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Well done.
I'm just going to cross out the sin and pretend it's all good. But there you go, Jericho Australia. That's their colognes.
good.
You like it?
Jericho delivering.
You better
right.
not wear too much of that, Curt, or baby number 4 might be on the way soon.
No better ad. All right, boys, we got a little bit of news to get through. There's a lot going on my side of the desk, Dos. I'm just
Well, you got packaging. I'd probably
trapped under
move
panels
that.
and cords and cables. All right. What do we got? Headlines. This is a sad one. Dos, Jim Irsay, Indianapolis Colts owner. Oh, hence why you've got the stubby holder. He passed away last week at the age of 65. A complex character, a very parochial Indianapolis man. Obviously,
gave a lot to the community of Indianapolis.
he did. So, and battled alcohol and a few other things over his life. So, yeah,
Yeah.
prematurely dies at 65. But left a legacy there.
Very sad. Youngest ever NFL GM in 1984. He was 24 years old when his father, Robert Irsay, moved the team from Baltimore to Indianapolis. Imagine being a GM at 24. Not bad. And then he took over as owner of the Colts.
I can't even do it on Xbox. I literally tried to do that on Xbox this week, and I can't do that. I'm 35.
Took over as owner of the Colts in 1997, and the very next offseason made the correct decision in drafting Peyton Manning over Ryan Leaf, 1998 draft, which of course set up the Super Bowl, key to setting up the Super Bowl victory in 2006. Had another Super Bowl appearance under his ownership. Rest in peace, Jim Irsay, to you and your family. The Colts. His daughter, Carly Irsay Gordon, will take over football operations and ownership. She's been the Colts vice president since 2008 and has been in a co-ownership role since 2012, regularly being at owners' meetings for the best part of the last 20 years. So I think the Colts are in good hands. It'll be interesting to see, probably won't be too much this season, but next off season, how she goes in putting her name on the team and her footprint on the Colts. But yeah, very sad for Jim Irsay.
Well done, Doss. Well summarised. Some other news. Fred Warner, San Francisco linebacker, becomes the highest paid linebacker. That happened just after our show last week. It tends to do that, Doss, after the Monday recordings. 3-year, $65 million extension. We won't cover that too much, but we thought it was important to mention. The owners' meeting, we know that the results are in. The tush-push stays, boys, and it got a bit abusive. Our man, Seth Wickersham, did report on a few arguments and references to wet dreams by the Philadelphia Eagles owner, Lurie. He was
Jeff Lurie just teed off on it.
More like Jeff Lurid, am I right?
Yeah, well, he had a 10-minute speech after the results were in, basically, and more or less ending that with saying, well, we're the Super Bowl champions and we're going to win many more.
Yeah, and then the the NFL executive said, stop saying the words wet dream when we're in like a forum with everybody present. And then he fired back up again and went for another 3 or 4 minutes. So he was out of control. But he got his wish and the tush-push stays. The other result, of course, was that the NFL players can play in the Olympics, flag football in 2028, Hawley.
They can, Curtis. One per team.
One per team.
So is that one in the US team or just one in general, Doss? Because they're obviously players from different nationalities.
Oh, good question. So can you have
someone
an Australian,
play for the Chinese?
So Kyler Murray and Kyler Murray was one for South Korea.
The safety.
Who was the other one?
Can Murray play?
Kyle Hamilton.
Can Murray play for?
Eligible for South Korea.
Oh my gosh.
So, but does that mean he's the only Arizona Cardinal that can play in the Olympics?
I don't know.
Good
I didn't
question.
look into that detail. I think it might be.
Tell you what, you'd be flat as South Korea if you didn't get Murray.
No,
now,
it would be.
wouldn't you?
It's so flat. They decided to send Trey McBride instead to the US team. Or how about this though?
Isn't McBride Canadian?
Is he Canadian? Maybe
I'm
he
not
is.
sure.
So that's what I mean. There'd be some good players floating around, similar to
Chuba Hubbard,
basketball, I guess.
Canadian.
Yeah.
What about what would you think of Tom Brady, number 12 Olympic
The USA.
jersey would be worth?
That actually would be sick.
It'd be unbelievable.
That would be cool.
It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and then he wins a silver medal. Loses to Kyler Murray in the final. Imagine that.
South Korea, get one up on Tom.
I wonder what the odds are in South Korea winning silver at the moment. I think that'd be about $1.10.
It would have to be, wouldn't it?
That's the only other country with a quarterback.
Well, there'd be a couple quarterbacks with family ties to other countries.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll find out
How
more. I
far
mean,
it
we've
goes.
got, 2.5 years till that happens. What else with the Detroit Lions withdrew their proposal to change the playoff seating. Why do you think they did that, Doss? Just knew they weren't getting support and didn't want to get embarrassed?
I think there might have been a bit of that, and maybe Roger just saying to him, look, maybe we won't go ahead with this proposal at this owners' meeting.
Okay.
Let's maybe wait for a 2 or 3 years' time when the broadcast rights are up for negotiation and maybe an 18th game of the season. Might tie in a little better.
Yes.
In terms of implementing that change. Just my thoughts.
Yep, I think you're probably right there, Doss. And the last little thing, we mentioned it before, Caleb Williams. Apparently, the story has come out over the last week or so that he did all that he could, or perhaps his father did all that they could, to avoid getting drafted to the Bears, well, at least thought about it, and then ended up going there. And I won't speak any more on that because that was the first part of our interview, or my interview this morning with Seth Wickersham from ESPN, a sample of which I will play now. So we'll have 4 or 5 minutes of that. Enjoy that. I'll release the full episode later in the week, but if you can't wait, the whole episode, the whole interview is on our YouTube now, Outback QB podcast on YouTube. You're already watching it for those on it at the moment. Tune into that. But for now, enjoy a sample. It's my absolute pleasure to have Seth Wickersham, senior writer from ESPN on the Outback Quarterback podcast today. We're very, very lucky to have Seth. He's got a book coming out called The American Kings, a biography of the quarterback. Now, that's available in September. But Seth, it's still months away, that book, and you found yourself in the headlines this week. The Caleb Williams story, which has sort of come out of your book about did he not want to go to Chicago? That is everywhere at the moment. So I wanted to start with, I guess, two questions. What was your intention with the book, and what was it meant to cover, and how did something that maybe wasn't the prime subject of the book, being Caleb Williams, turn into this story?
Yeah, that's an astute observation. I mean, I'm a failed high school quarterback. And so I think that even though I've covered the NFL for 25 years, and even though I've written a lot about quarterbacks, I think that I always, I just felt like there was still more I wanted to understand about it. And it's everything from reads and memorizing a playbook to all the hats you have to wear. You have to be a community spokesperson. You have to be a raging asshole at times. You have to be a philanthropist. And oh, by the way, you also, you wear all these hats, matinee idol. And then, oh, by the way, you also have to be able to throw the ball through slimming windows that, most people can't even see, much less exploit. And so, those are the things I wanted to do. I wanted to understand how quarterback became such a celebrated job in our culture. It's such a strange job. And yet, it's up there with politicians and the highest of movie stars and rock stars. And I wanted to understand that. And I wanted to, I wanted to understand what it builds in you and what it strips away, what it takes to do it at the highest level. And then, for the very, very best who are in the Hall of Fame, what's it like living the rest of your life with this toolkit that you've developed that really is incompatible with life away from football.
Yeah, it makes sense that you mention all of the off-field stuff as well, the expectation that comes with it. And we'll talk about Andrew Luck later in the interview, because you did a story on him a few years ago that was really intriguing, and that whole situation was fascinating. But out of this book, and there's so much to it, and I can't wait to read it in September when it's out, but the Caleb Williams story is all the rage at the moment. You speak, I assume, at some point about the difficulty of the decision that faces a guy that's going to go number one. There's not really a decision, right? Unless there's some drastic measures taken to avoid a franchise. And that was potentially an option for Caleb. Is that right?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. It's not a decision. And, the question that faced Caleb and his dad, Carl Williams, was the same question that faced John and Jack Elway in 1983, and the same question that faced Archie and Eli Manning in 2004. And that's, is the situation with the team that's going to draft you so untenable that you're going to go to drastic measures to try to have some sort of agency over your future employer? And, it really sounds like a basic and reasonable thing. Sure. Like, where Caleb Williams, he picked where he wanted to go to college. He wasn't forced to go to USC or Oklahoma before that. But, in the way that we have it in the States in the draft, it's a different process. It's a very popular process also. But it's tough. And, we talk about all the things that go into making a great quarterback, but a lot of it's luck. And a lot of people don't want to admit how much of it is luck. And one of the big pieces of luck is who drafts you and, what kind of coaching they have and what kind of infrastructure they have. And once it was pretty obvious that Caleb was probably going to be the first pick in the draft, that was after his first year at USC when he won the Heisman Trophy. His dad spent a lot of time interviewing lawyers, agents, Archie Manning, all these people, trying to figure out if there was a way around the draft. Like, was there a loophole? Was there anything he could do to, again, give his son a choice over where he was really locked in? Because, there's this funky system that, was obviously collectively bargained in the States, but the way that it works is if you're the first pick in the draft, that team that picks you owns your rights basically for 8 years if they want to. You get a mandated 4-year contract. It has a 5th-year option if the team wants it. And then you're technically a free agent after that, but you're not really, because they can put what's called the franchise tag on you, which means they can keep you from going anywhere unless they trade you. And they can do that for 3 consecutive years. So you're talking about a sport where the average career spans 3 years, and this team that maybe you have some severe reservations about owns your rights for 8 years. And, that didn't sound very appealing to Carl Williams. He told me that Chicago is the place quarterbacks go to die. And Caleb shared a lot of those concerns. Yeah. And Caleb shared a lot of those concerns. And I think what it came down to basically was, were they willing to do the nuclear option? Were they willing to, blast the city and the team, kind of like how the Elways did in 1983? The Mannings did a much kinder and smoother version of it in 2004. But were they willing to do that to force a trade and make this situation untenable? And the Bears said, we're picking no matter what. And I think the Williams has wondered, if they pick us anyway, if he picks Caleb anyway, are we stuck? And we've just created this situation that's even worse. And Caleb, I think he wanted to find ways to believe in his future employer, and he was able to find some of them. But, watching Caleb's first year, all of Carl Williams's fears about the bad coaching and the bad quarterback infrastructure were realized.
All right, boys, what happened there? What fell off
One
there?
of your white cables.
One of my mini cables. That was the sample of the Seth Wickersham interview. The full thing's on YouTube now. And for those watching or for those not watching, make sure you jump on and hit subscribe. Dos, anything else we need to tell them about signing up to our various services?
Subscribe, like,
hit subscribe wherever you can.
Follow on Spotify, follow on Apple.
Yep.
Follow us on Instagram.
Are we still over 4,000?
Yes.
Just. Yeah. It's still over.
YouTube's where we're really directing all the traffic these days, to be honest.
I'm still waiting on the...
Oh, yeah. Well, the deck's not built. The deck is starting to be
on
built.
the deck?
Yes.
You said that.
Where else am I doing this?
Anywhere.
And
up
by
the driveway. The driveway is the iconic. You have to do it on the driveway.
But if I'm doing it, you have to do it with me.
No. That was not the deal.
I think you should do it
That was
with
never
me.
the deal.
I think we need to get a poll on our socials, Curt.
I'm not doing it.
Nor am I.
All of us, or Hawley and I, or just me?
So I don't think you have a
classic,
case.
That's classic DOS, just backing out of something.
I'm not backing out. I'm saying I will do it. But
you just said not without us.
I
which
think
was
you
never
should
the
do
deal.
it.
Which was
maybe
never
not
the deal.
Curt, because in case he gets injured. But I think you.
I can't afford to get injured either.
Yes, you can.
Why?
I've got heaps of stuff to do. Really busy.
With his sloth cologne on.
By the way, how good does it smell in here?
It's nice.
We'll be back in a sec. All right, we've got Bright or Bleak. Have you got that pack of cards? Now, what
right
we might
here,
do...
Dos.
Nah, I'm doing the first
Who's
one.
in charge here?
Well, Curt
Are you
is.
letting him take over like
Curt
this?
is. He threw them to me.
Just to show you the packet, and you looked excited. All right, Dos, you take 5. Hawley, you take 5. And
But
we'll
isn't
save
there
the
20?
Yeah, we'll save the next 10 for next
I
week.
don't want any.
Don't want
If I
it?
can't have more, I don't want any.
Just having a bit of an issue here, ripping the pack over. There we go.
Careful there, Dos. Yeah, this is brought to you by Sports Card World. Sports Card World Adelaide for all your sporting and Pokemon card needs in the Region Arcade. Great store while Dos is fumbling around. Follow them, Sports Card World Adelaide on Instagram. Matt and the boys will look after you. Dos, now look at me, please. If you're going to do this, I do not want you to cheat and look ahead, because when Hawley did it, it was funny, but when you do it, you're just chewing up notes in your
players that we've had
You would
and
just
we've
be
spoken
copying
about.
me like usual.
Well, there's players that we have here that we've spoken about.
Oh, right, I apologise. I take it all back.
Like a rookie card, Terry and Arnold.
You're
which
joking.
we spoke about last
This
week.
is a completely different pack too. We've managed to snag another Terry and Arnold.
All right. Do you want to go first?
Whoa. What was that one that you just put down? What was that?
So,
You're saving that for yourself. See, I can't trust
no, I'm not. I was going to put it down. It's a rookie, Devontae Walker for the
Tez Walker from the Baltimore Ravens.
Ravens.
Kurt can have that one.
Oh, yeah, chuck that to me.
I don't want any defensive plays, Dos.
Tez Walker, he was a wide receiver last year. Late in our rookie draft, drafted him.
Did you take him?
Yeah, I think like 4-12 or something, thinking he might have been something. I'm not sure that Tez Walker's still on their squad. Is he still there? Let's have a look.
On the
Tez
roster?
Walker Ravens. Yeah, is he still on their roster? He is, but he did nothing last year. All right, Dos, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to take Tavondre Sweat from the Tennessee Titans, defensive tackle.
That's a Dos kind of player.
Yeah, it is up front, the big fella. He was all right last year, especially the back end of the season. So big season upcoming for him. It's going to be bright. It needs to be for the Titans on that defensive front, next to my man Jeffrey Simmons. polled very high in the Outback Quarterback MVP last year.
He did. I forgot to say whether it would be Bright or Bleak for Walker. That'll be
pretty bleak, I would
Bleak.
imagine.
Did you say the Titans before for Tavondre Sweat?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said Texans. Let's have a look at his
Titans.
stats from last year. He started 16 games. He had 1 sack, DOS,
Yeah, he'd be all right.
1 fumble recovery.
That's last season.
51. I know. I'm just before you say it's going to be super.
So it's going to be
bright.
better this year. It's going to be bright.
Okay. He was. Where did he got some votes? in
Good
something.
pressure rate. It's not all about the sacks.
No, I know. He got votes in the defensive rookie of the year. He came 13th in it. He got 5 votes. So there you go.
He's had a couple of
Pretty
games.
good season.
Not too bad for
I'm
Tavondre.
going to skip this one for you, Hawley, because he's just retired. That's Jordan Travis, medically retired from the
Oh, that's
Jets.
very bleak.
Yeah.
Unless he's got some business opportunities on the outside.
Coaching
That's,
with Teddy.
Like football coach.
Maybe we'll go coach.
so,
with
Hawley,
Teddy.
you
Oh,
want to...
yeah. What is Teddy Bridgewater up to?
Oh,
these
sure,
days?
I have to have a look. I imagine he'd be coaching again.
Yeah.
He's probably been
So do you
coached
reckon
by
he's
college.
played NFL head coach 09?
He might.
No, he wouldn't be on
He
it.
might. No, he wouldn't. 15 years ago.
Ah.
This is a special one, Hawley.
Oh.
You're all over this one. Show it, everyone.
Oh, Michael Penix Jr.
Oh.
Has to be bright, doesn't it? I
Stargazing.
can't bleak this one.
Look at that.
Wouldn't hate a signature.
Is he going to be starting every week this year?
I'd imagine so.
Do you
yeah.
think he holds his spot? Do you think it's a
Mhm.
good year? Okay. What's happening with Kirk, Doss? Kirk Cousins.
He's still there.
Yeah, but what's going to
No
happen?
trade clause
Is he going to
in
stay
the
there?
contract.
But does he not want to be traded? Like, go to Pittsburgh. Be a starter.
He could be.
Mm.
That's if they want to. That's if the Steelers want to trade for him.
It's gone very quiet, hasn't it, on the QB front lately?
It's just,
Yeah.
we're waiting on Rodgers still.
Yeah, I know.
We are.
All
He
right.
was on Joe Rogan last week. I listened to that.
This is a pretty boring segment
I
so
know.
far, Dos.
Why?
Sorry.
Oh, Roma Dunze. We had him last week too.
Oh, okay.
What did we say last week? Did I get him?
That was
You
2
s-
weeks ago.
You said bright.
Yeah, I need.
yeah, well,
I'm
that was for
changing.
you. I gave it to you.
I'm
this time.
changing that to. I've actually changed that to Bleak
Oh,
this
why?
week. I had a change of heart this week.
For any reason? Or?
I looked into it a little bit more. I'll talk about him in a minute.
Aha.
Mm.
That's foreshadowing to
okay.
Hawley's Darkest Fantasies segment coming up.
Well, here you go.
Okay. What do we get?
Oh, that looks like it would be a good one.
It is a good one. It's Devontae Adams, of course. New man. LA Rams now, replacing
this
Cooper Kupp.
is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah. You know what? I actually like the Stafford Adams combo. There most franchises I would say no, but I feel like Stafford, he's a wise enough head and he's got a good enough arm still to get the most out of Devontae. I think he'll actually be good.
Be okay.
I think he'll unlock
32,
something.
33 this year.
I think it's his last big year coming
Okay.
up. Bright for Devontae.
Okay, I have Jordan Addison, wide receiver, Minnesota Vikings.
That's an interesting
Another interesting one.
one.
New quarterback. Number 2 wide receiver 2. Hawkinson will be fit this year as well, Dos.
Will be.
So
I'm
really,
still going
probably
bright.
third
I'm still
target.
pretty bullish on Jordan Addison. No, I don't think he's a third target. I think he's second behind Justin Jefferson.
He's just inconsistent. He had massive games last year and then he
Yeah.
has the off-field
That's
stuff.
going to happen though when you've got JJ who
Well, that's
will be
true.
he has 100
Yeah.
whatever targets every year.
All right, let's do 2 more, Dos. We'll save the rest for next week.
Okay. Hawley.
We've got- I'd have to say CD's going to be pretty bright.
I'm sure we've had CD already.
Did we have him
Yeah,
last
we've
week?
had him.
Have
Go
we?
again.
All right, go again. Oh, here we go.
Oh, Bleak.
that Travis Kelce?
Bleak.
Is that Travis?
He's done. Get rid of him. Shouldn't even
Oh,
be in packs anymore.
And you made the argument last week that Mahomes, like last year, had the best roster and he's been blessed with Kelsey and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, early on in his career. Not
Right.
anymore, though.
Okay, bleak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Last one. Let's
Easy
go.
one. A layup for Cedar Boy.
Oh, what do we got? Oh, Lamar Jackson. Well, I guess the question with Lamar is, what is bright versus bleak for him? And we know he'll have good stats. We know he'll run the ball well. We know he's throwing the ball well now. He's a great quarterback. But does he
doesn't-
have to make a Super Bowl for it to be bright for him
No,
this
he
year?
just has to be a good player.
Okay, well, it's definitely bright.
Yeah.
He's not going to
It's
not
a,
be
it's
a
a
good player.
general consensus on bright or bleak, is
Okay.
it not?
Yeah.
Rather than, CD might not play how he did last year, but it's still going to be a bright year. It'll be better than most. That's
Yeah.
my theory.
Dallas will hope he's a lot better than what he was last season.
Okay. Where do you think Lamar is it an MVP year for Lamar? Is it a Super Bowl year for the Ravens?
I mean, he
Doss?
was so close. Like it was a coin toss
know.
between him and Allen last season.
But
Whether
you're big on the Ravens coming into next year, aren't you?
I am.
Yeah.
Well,
Are they your AFC Super Bowl pick?
no, it's a bit early for that, I think, isn't it, Kurt,
Well,
to do our
you-
futures?
You love talking about futures super early.
I do,
It's your-
and that'll be
it's your thing.
August conversation.
Okay.
First coach to get fired, Dos?
Oh, it's a
Ooh.
bit early for. Oh,
Oh, tell me you haven't thought about it.
Speaking of wet dreams.
Brian Daboll will be up there. Thinking about coaches getting fired. No, positive outlook for this
No
season.
coaches fired this year.
Going to be bright for Lamar, though.
Very bright. All right, that's bright or bleak. We've got Hawley's Darkest Fantasies coming up. All right, Chris.
Curtis.
It's Hawley's Darkest Fantasies, a new title for, well, it's not a new segment, it's just a one-off thing. I want to know.
Let's see how it goes.
Just a one-off, see if we rattle it back.
Pull it back next year.
Okay. Well, I mean, we can't recur everything, can we? The 5 players that you're worried about with fantasy this year. You're the fantasy head in this room.
Mm-hmm. Reigning champion.
Only
one in this room.
Very close to taking out Div 1 as well.
Wasn't
if
far
not
off.
for a bit
Was
bad
a
luck.
fair way off, but
Warboy's got you.
a couple of injuries.
Who did you lose to in the Outback QB?
He was the only one that beat Corey,
Yeah, I
who won
beat
the...
Beat him, mate.
Yeah, but you didn't. He won the title.
Yeah, but I
So
beat him in regular
who
season.
cares about beating him in regular season?
Oh, well, I did it. You didn't.
I'm not-
Well, Kurt's
I'm not in it.
So
Yeah,
it's pretty hard to.
Exactly. A week from both of you. Do you want me to get into my segment?
Yeah, well, just remember, 30 seconds ago, I introduced you as the fantasy head in this room, and what followed? A barrage of insults again.
Yeah, my head grew.
Why does this always
my
happen?
head grew a little bit.
You're out
I
of
got,
control.
I got a little bit too cocky.
All right, yeah, the 5 players you're worried about this year. We got a problem with that camera over there, Dos?
Yeah, your iPhone storage is full, Curtis.
Oh, you are joking!
Spent too long on the 360 today.
All right, camera issue fixed. Seamless. I'm pretty sure Hawley was out for about 12 minutes on the YouTube, so it'll just be a you and me fest in retrospect there, Dos, but we're back. Hawley, Darkest Fantasies.
All right, Curtis.
What have you got?
I'm ready to go.
5 players you're worried about.
My first player, wide receiver, Pittsburgh, DK Metcalf. Now, often, Dos, when a player signs a big contract or he moves teams, the fantasy world is buzzing.
Generally.
But not this time because the Pittsburgh Steelers do not have a quarterback. Well, they do. They have Mason Rudolph, but we've seen this before, and Mason doesn't really work. DK's being paid like he's a high-end wide receiver 1, but he's not a fantasy wide receiver 1. Since 2020, Dos, his overall fantasy ranking has dropped every season at the end of the year.
Yep.
And with a subpar Mason Rudolph throwing you the ball, I cannot see that improving. Now, DK, he's a good deep ball threat. He's strong, he's fast, but he just doesn't, he's never command. I don't think he's ever averaged more than 8 targets a game in a year. And at a Steelers team, like I said, with Mason Rudolph throwing the ball, Metcalf is going to grab the attention from every defense as the number 1 guy. I can't see him having much of a year at all, Curtis. I'm not big on him. The only way that it can work for him is that he will just be flooded with targets.
I think you might be right. The Frymer thing, I mean, he commands a few, but probably not many more than a generally good tight end. And then Calvin Austin's their second wide receiver.
Well,
He's not a big target, so I don't know. It's hard to read.
I like DK more when they had Pickens there because then you got 2 guys who defenses have to worry about, and then DK can afford to get loose a little more. But now everything's going to be focused on DK. And in the past at Seattle, when there has been a couple of guys to take the attention off of DK, he still hasn't been able to get it done. So for me, he's the number 1 guy that I'll be avoiding in all fantasy drafts.
It hinges on really red zone usage for DK Metcalf, doesn't it? Because we know Arthur Smith's going to be a run-heavy offense. You mentioned the quarterback uncertainty there, Hawley.
I think 16 from memory, 16 TDs in the last 3 years.
Well, he only had 5 last
19.
season.
19 in the last 3 years.
And that was a career low. And he had the knee injury as well. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm just fascinated by the Steelers in general, how they're going to function on offense next season. I was fascinated this time last year, whether it was going to be Fields or Russell Wilson starting. And yeah, this season is even more uncertainty.
If someone like Kirk Cousins does end up going to Pittsburgh or Rodgers does sign there, then DK's ceiling will grow. But at the moment, I'd be letting him go to someone else in a fantasy draft.
Like that. Who's your next?
My next one is close to home. He helped me win a championship last year, but that's Russell Wilson. And it's Russell's 4th team in 5 years, fellas, and that doesn't bode well for any team. The 4th team, New York Giants, just traded up to draft a quarterback in the first round of this year's draft. Obviously, Jackson Dart. What does this mean for Russell? Now, they've said that Russell is the starter, but if the Giants aren't winning, Russ isn't playing that well, then I think you can probably say goodbye to Russell Wilson. He does have a bit of help now. Cam Scatterboy, however we want to pronounce it. My boy. He's a leader. Scatterboy. He's a leader. I like that, actually. Cam Scatterboy. He's a leader. He's a strong runner, Dos. He will help. Malik Neighbours, obviously, in year 2 now. Now, Russ hasn't really played with a wide receiver of Malik's caliber. Like Malik, I have him as one of the top guys now.
Not recently.
Not recently. I have him as one of the top. Even in Seattle, he didn't really have, he never had a top 10 guy. Not that I can think of.
You review that, Dos.
At the time, I mean...
You would have been a big Dougie... You would have been a Dougie Baldwin man, Dos.
I mean, Lockett was pretty handy.
Yeah, Lockett was handy, but Malik for me is...
Doug Baldwin was no scrub.
They're not scrubs, but Malik for me is
Golden Tate had a year.
Malik is a guy, though. Malik's a guy you go to get you out of trouble. I'm looking at him at like the Jefferson Chase kind of caliber.
So wait, why are you saying Russ is potentially a problem? Because Dart's going to start instead, or because Russ is not there?
I just don't think Russell's got it anymore. I think he has got some options here, but he's not the player that he was in Seattle. He had a 10-year.
But you said he helped you win a championship last year.
Yeah,
What's changed?
He did last year.
Yeah, he mustn't have won by much.
Oh, one by enough. That's all that matters. Doesn't it? But he's not the Russell he was in Seattle. He had a run of, I think, 8 years where he was a top 10 quarterback every year, fantasy-wise. In the last few years, he hasn't. I don't think he's even been top 15. And I can see...
Well, that's because his run game is part of that.
And I can see by mid-year, the Giants aren't doing too well. And then all of a sudden, we see a Russell Wilson benching because you've got a round 1 quarterback sitting on the bench. And they say, all right, let's give him a crack. And then that's it for Russell.
People aren't rushing to draft Russ, though, are they? I mean, Metcalf, some guys will get seduced. I'm not sure Russ goes too high.
Russ isn't going to be a real high guy, but I'm talking if you take Russ, I don't think you can expect to get a full year out of him.
Okay, so that's the salient point.
That's what I'm
saying.
So
the Giants have got Tyrone Tracy, who was
good,
not bad at times.
For a 5th round rookie, he was very good.
He was all right last year. Devin Singletary, veteran, and then Cam Scatterbo as the 3 running backs there.
That's an interesting little room, isn't it?
Well, I think, interesting to sort of spread the workload there.
Yeah. Yeah, none of them, they might not be fantasy darlings unless Scatterboo somehow takes over. But
you'd wait for an injury or two, and then someone will pop up and end up. It depends as well how they're going. Like some of those guys, New York might end up having games where they run the ball 7 times because they're so far behind, and they have to throw it.
What do we think of Jalen Hyatt?
I think he's pretty cooked. I was high on Hyatt when he first came in as a deep threat. Yeah, but he just hasn't shown enough. He's not. I don't think he's physical enough for the NFL. He gets ragdolled and doesn't make contested catches. He's done a couple of flashy things, but he's had very low output in his first 2 years.
Yeah, not behind Neighbours. You've still got Wan'Dale Robinson and Darius Slayton.
Yeah, Slayton's more reliable.
Yeah,
and Robinson will fill the slot.
So,
who's number 3, Hawley?
Rome. Now we spoke about him earlier. Spoke about him last week, saying last week could be a bright season for him, but I don't know. I think I'm a little bit worried about him now.
Why?
Well, DJ Moore's the guy. We get that.
Yep.
Everything has improved a little bit for Caleb. Rome should be the next guy in line to excel. They should be saying, okay, we've got DJ, then we've got Rome. Rome will eventually be our number 1 guy. We took him as pick 9. But if that's the case, then why, Curtis, did they go and take... I can understand the tight end at pick 10 because they wanted a big, strong tight end. Then you go and take another wide receiver with pick 39. Now, that wide receiver in 2023 had 1 more yard than Marvin Harrison Jr. did in college. So Marvin Harrison went at pick 4. And then we're talking about a guy that pretty much had a similar year to him.
Can you remind the listeners of his name?
I've just forgotten about it.
Luther Burden.
Luther Burden, the 3rd or 2nd, whatever
I'm
it is.
waiting for you to say his name.
I was looking at
I could see him stalling.
I was reading, I was like, where did I write Luther Burden? I think now Rome
Not the same player though, Luther and Rome.
The 3rd.
They're different. I had Rome at about 100 targets last year.
Yep.
He's going to want to see that improve.
What do you mean you had him at 100? Did he have 100?
He had 100 targets, or like 101
It's
targets.
kind of like you just estimated.
I just counted them as we went throughout the year. Now, DJ gets his share again next year. Colston comes in. He's going to demand a heap because they're going to want to use a top 10 tight end that they've just drafted.
Yeah.
That's how it works. Burden is going to want his targets. So then where does it leave Rome? Now, Rome, if he has another 100 targets, he kind of just sits at the same level again.
Keenan Allen had 121 targets last season.
Yeah, so now you've got Colston and Burden coming in.
But
Those 100
Burden doesn't necessarily surpass Rome. And I'm not so sure that Colston commands a lot of targets this year. I mean, they've got...
I'm not saying these guys are going to surpass him, but I'm saying we're talking about DJ gets his targets. Rome as a rookie had 100. So now Rome owners want to see 130, 140 targets for him to take that next step and be a pick 9 wide receiver. But
there is a gap with Allen going, as Dos...
Yeah, but they've just replaced the gap with pick 10 in the draft and pick 39.
I'm not so sure about that.
I'm 100% sure about that.
And then you've still got Cole Kmet there as well, who played basically every game last season.
So tell me, you've gone and drafted a tight end at pick 10 and another wide receiver at pick 39, and you're just not going to throw him the ball.
But
Ben Johnson...
They're getting sick. Ben Johnson loves a tight end for starters with Laporta. We saw that.
Yes,
so you're saying between those two guys, they're not getting 60 targets each?
But Burden doesn't necessarily go above Rome. I mean, Rome bumps up the wide receiver depth.
Yeah, I didn't say he goes above Rome. I'm saying that Rome's not going to go any more than his 100. So
no, I know, but I'm pretty much factoring out the Burden thing because...
The Burden doesn't exist.
No, he exists. Can I just let me finish?
But it sounds dumb what you're saying. You're saying that
Rome moves up a spot on the wide receiver depth chart, right? Because Keenan Allen goes.
Okay.
So Rome goes up. He becomes more prominent. Burden and Co slot in behind him. So they're bit part players who will get what bit part receivers get normally, which is not going to really affect Rome. Therefore, in my mind, the only real player that affects possibly the reception or target count for Rome is Colston Loveland. And I am not convinced that straight up Loveland gets a ton of targets. There might be a split between him and Kmet. Maybe there's 20 or 30 more across the season between those two as tight end targets. Maybe there's 50 more. I don't know, but I don't think it takes a huge chunk out of Rome necessarily. For me, it's more...
So wide receiver 2 last year was, 125 targets, Dos?
Mm-hmm.
That would be...
And wide receiver 3 was 100? What was the tight end? What did Cole have?
55.
55. So I can see Colston having more than 55 targets.
Okay,
Let's
but
say he
Kmet
has-
will then have less. So it's not an absolute number. 55 doesn't come out of Rome only. You know, that'll come out of Kmet as well.
Yeah, so you're going to have one tight end has, say, 70, 75 targets. Kmet might have 30 or 40.
Mm-hmm.
There's 110. And then you've got Burden comes in. If he has less than 50 targets in a year, you might as well cut the bloke. So there's
Not true.
So there's 160, 100.
Why is that? Why would you?
Because you don't take someone at pick 39 and just not use them unless they're no good.
Patriots do.
Unless they're no good. So I'm saying that you've got the targets that Loveland's going to command, the targets that Kmet's going to command, the targets that Burden's going to command is going to be more than what Keenan Allen had last year and Cole Kmet had combined.
Sure, I see your point. I just don't.
So
think
there's
it's that
no
simple.
room for Rome to improve on his 100 targets he had last year.
But there is though, because they invested heavily in Rome, taking him where they did
And they
in the first
invested
round,
heavily.
and
So you're
they
telling
want
me-
to see him expand and get better. They're not just giving up because he's not as exciting because he's a year old.
I didn't say they're giving up. The bloke's still getting 100 targets, but he's not going to go and rocket up to 130, 140 and be the guy that people think he's going to be. So that's why I'm worried about his fantasy stock. If the Chicago thought that he was the guy, they don't go out and take another wide receiver at pick 39. Why do you do that, Curtis?
You get stronger. Just because because you draft another player in the same position doesn't mean
So you had a
all out on your
horrible
players.
offensive line last year, but you go and take a tight end and then a wide receiver with pick 39
Yeah, they addressed the offensive line well, so they believe the Bears
in free agency.
In free agency. So I understand why they drafted Luther Burden. One, I don't think they thought he would be there. And two, it just gives more weapons for Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson with how he wants to set up this offense. So it made sense to me. I didn't understand taking Colston Loveland over Tyler Warren, but
So if it gives him more weapons, that means that it gets shared around a lot, doesn't it?
it could get shared
So
around
Rome's
more, yes.
probably not
And-
going to have 130 targets because it's going to be shared around.
But you know what? DJ Moore might not have 140 targets next season either. That might come down to
I think
120.
DJ's probably the guy still.
Oh, he is. Absolutely. He's a
He's
star.
probably the one they go to when they need to.
I mean, it was a
But
down year for him.
I think
but-
between Rome, Colston, Burden, Kmet at a lesser level, I think it's going to be a lot more even than what Rome owners would have been hoping for.
That's fair, especially if you've got him in Dynasty.
Or in any fantasy league. I wouldn't be targeting Rome in any
No, it's fair.
redrafts this year.
It's fair logic. Good chat. Good chat. Who's for?
Oh, you were wrong. Najee Harris. I am sensing the end of Najee Harris. He was a top 20 running back 9 times last year, which is a pretty solid outing in what was a so-so offense. He finds himself with the Chargers under a coach who will ground and pound. But all of a sudden, Najee is relevant again. We think, all right, this guy could turn himself back into a top 15 running back fantasy-wise. He's worthy of having a crack at. And then bang, draft night, Amari in Hampton gets drafted. This man is an animal. They're going to call it 1A and 1B. That's how they're going to sell it, but that's absolute rubbish. We know that if you draft a running back in the first round and an early running back at that who would be RB1 in probably 5 of the last 10 drafts, he's touching the ball 15 to 20 times at least. Now, Najee gets the other 5 to 10, and all of a sudden, Najee is not relevant anymore. So I think Najee owners, especially Dynasty, because you see this, it happens. You've already got him. They would have been real happy with this guy. They've got a bargain, top 12, 15 running back at worst, I think, in this system. And all of a sudden, they've got someone who's probably not even worth a 3rd-round pick anymore.
Do you think the best case scenario for Najee is that he becomes the goal line guy and has a Jamal Williams type season where he runs in touchdowns?
Yeah, that could be it. But I mean, Hampton's probably good enough to be the goal line guy as well.
I just wonder how heavily they use him year one.
If they go hard and try to ruin it. And that's probably why they've got Najee, who will take 5 to 10. Hampton will have his 15 to 20. So it might be he ends up with, 17 touches. Najee has 8, and that's 25. And that's how many times they run the ball, apart from, 1 or 2 other little bits and pieces. But for Najee, that was a, unfortunate sign for his owners. The last one, Chris Olave. Now, not only are we concerned about his concussion issues, which player health obviously comes before fantasy football most of the time, not with my team, but for most teams it should. His QB just retired, Dos. Carr was pretty reasonable. He could throw the ball, he just couldn't win a playoff game. Now, that's fine for Chris Olave and fantasy football because we don't care about the real-time playoffs. Chris Olave, on his day, he can be a top 10 receiver. I think I took him at the end of the 1st round or early 2nd round last year in a redraft. And I'd say he could easily finish as high with the right quarterback throwing him the ball, a top 7 receiver in the league at the end of the year if he stays fit. But I don't think at the moment I'd have him in my top 30 wide receivers.
Top 30?
I wouldn't have him in my top 30.
For fantasy production.
For fantasy.
Not for
fantasy.
talent.
Not for talent. No, talent-wise, he's right up there. But fantasy-wise, it's probably
30. 30 is a big call.
Tyler Shuck. You're going to have any Tyler Shuck wide receivers in your top 30 this year?
Yes.
I mean, we know nothing about the guy. He's 25. He's played 1 full year of college. He's not these 25-year-olds or 24-year-olds like Bo Nix, who has played a lot of college football. They're rolling and ready. This guy's played 1 good year through, I think, 23 TDs or 26 TDs.
What do they know that we don't? Why did they take him in the 2nd round? There's got to be something more to this guy. We've all written it off just because we weren't aware that he would go there, but there must be something.
Or there just isn't. It's a bit. It's similar to my Luther Burden. Why pick a guy early 2nd round if you don't want to use him? But yeah, I guess they see Tyler as a guy, and they would have known that Carr was not right.
Yes. Yeah. That's why the noise as it got closer to the draft on Tyler Shuck and the Saints drafting a quarterback. Even the noise, there was a lot of mocks and a lot of noise around them potentially taking Shedeur Sanders at pick 9 if he fell. And then it was, maybe they'll take him in the 2nd round.
He was the 3rd quarterback taken. It's so bizarre. Anyway.
Well, it could work.
It could work.
It could work, and it could work for Chris Olave. In redraft, he's sitting at average draft position is 46. So if you're in a 12-team league, that's, end of the 4th round, which isn't horrible. But I wouldn't be drafting him this year as anything more than my flex.
That's a good call.
I'm not starting him as my wide receiver or a wide receiver 1 or 2. But he could end up being the steal of the draft. You could have him in late 4th, early 5th. Tyler Shuck just throws it down Chris Olave's throat. He's the only guy he's got. He stays healthy and he ends up a top 10, top 15 guy. But for me, he's another one that I will be probably staying away from.
All right. Good list, Hawley. Have you got a bonus as well?
I did have a little bonus one that I was going to put in. That was Saquon Barkley. Because we don't often see these big-time running backs have a season like he did and then back it up with another one fantasy-wise. A lot of the time when he's kind of floating between 1 and 2 in drafts. And going number 1 in fantasy drafts is a genuine curse, especially for a running back. They're injured every.
You're using the Christian McCaffrey theory from last year.
Christian McCaffrey, David Johnson. There's a heap of guys that just end up injured when their first running back taken off the board.
So is this you writing off Saquon Barkley like I wrote off Derrick Henry?
I started writing. I love the guy. I'm probably still going to draft him if I can.
Yep.
And I hate to say this, but history, statistics, they all lead to Saquon not having a year like he did last year, and a year that will be a lot poorer.
Yeah.
You
started writing that, but
then I deleted it because I didn't want to say it, and I didn't want to talk about him. Like
so
that.
you don't believe it, or you do believe it? If you have to say it now, is he dropping off or is he staying the same?
He can't stay the same because that was an unbelievable year.
Yeah.
I think he's going to break the curse.
Yeah.
I don't think he's dropping off like they usually do. I think he's going to still have a very good year. But I'm just putting the statistics and the history out there that it is primed for him to drop off quite a bit this year.
What do you think, Dos?
Oh, if I'm in fantasy, I'm taking Saquon Barkley as early as I can, no matter what.
And that's what everyone said about David Johnson when he went pick 1. Everyone said about Christian McCaffrey every year, and then they just go bang, 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 get injured. It's tough. It's tough out there.
It's
Dos.
And we'll see those that pivot and opt out of, as we saw last year with Quag not taking Christian McCaffrey. Took Breece Hall, didn't work.
Yeah, well, at least Breece played a few games.
Yeah, true.
Played more, but output was, not that of probably the first pick of the draft. But anyway,
it is tough out there. And you know where else it's tough, Hawley?
Where's it tough?
The world of comedy.
Was that already on?
Yeah.
Oh, sugar. Okay.
I love how every week he's surprised.
Was on the run sheet as well this week.
Well, I don't have the run sheet up while I'm in my zone. Now, you wouldn't believe I'm a painter, and I just found out that I'm colorblind, and the news came out of the purple. Not bad.
That's a good one.
It's a good one. It took you boys a couple of seconds
to drop. It took a second to drop.
I read it and it took a little while to drop as well. And then I thought this one might work.
That might be one of
the better ones.
That's on the podium.
Introduced it with the whole painting thing as well.
Good. Yeah, it's natural too. Just
good.
Worked it in.
Yeah, thanks, fellas.
Well done.
I appreciate it.
Well done.
That was a good one.
Dos, you were. I feel like we rested you this week.
That's good.
You're good.
Yeah.
We've got a mini pod coming up.
Chip in where I can.
Yeah. Yeah. It wasn't a normal DOS heavy episode, but
we went through this strength of schedule last week and rest day disparity. So this week we're just a bit of fantasy stuff.
I just want you to be fresh going into the dinner party.
Oh well. That's another one that Hawley tends to dominate.
That is a Hawley show.
I just invite people that I think are going to would rip into you, Curt, to be quite honest.
How controversial can we be this year? Because there's a bit floating around.
Go as hard as you want, and I'll make and then I'll make editorial decisions based on that. But I don't want to jeopardize your preparation either, Chris.
All right, I'm typing.
Because when you get in a flow state of depravity, that's when your best work
I'm ready to
comes
go.
out.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, boys, that's the show for another week. Thanks for listening. Hope you all enjoyed the Seth Wickersham preview. Make sure you catch the whole thing on YouTube. JerichoAustralia.com, 15% off, code OUTBACK for all of you listening. We'll see you next week, Dos.
You will, buddy.
See you at the dinner party, Chris.
See you there, Curtis. Thanks. And hey, don't draft Roma Dunzo because he's going to have a bad year. All right, see you, fellas.
You might be right. We'll see you next week.